Hello everyone, this video has been quite some time in the making because I didn't feel like recording it for basically a week straight, but we're gonna pretend that's not the case because you didn't actually have to know that. Wait. But when I was playing the powder toy, I found a pretty interesting reaction. So the original test, or not test, but original thing I was trying to do was I was trying to make a box out of breakable metal to, make a photon duplicator with glow. Nothing too interesting, but that's when I realized the photons just immediately leaked out. Which got me very curious, because why would you think breakable metal is transparent? Typically that's, why? So I tried and do another test with, some glow inside of, essentially just a duplication chamber, and that actually worked. And so I was thinking to myself, well, think about it. Of all the actual, transparent things in the game, glass and quartz, and technically also filter, glass and quartz break under negative pressure, and filter is effectively indestructible in most cases. But breakable metal is immune to negative pressures, which means it could be an interesting idea I've had for that is to make like a why are you leaking everywhere? But a idea I've had is what if we try to make a isotope Z reactor that's kind of like an artificial sun and put a bunch of solar panels on the bottom? I don't know, it could be interesting. But that's just one of the things I tried doing, and, well, besides the isotope Z reactor in its own just being bad, which, I didn't want to make it too big, but then I made it bad, whatever. I also knew that breakable metal is conductive, and I was kind of curious, would this allow us to transfer power through, like, can we transfer power while there's photons passing? And that test yielded the fact that no, sparks kind of deflect photons. It reminds me a lot of liquid crystal, where it can be in an on or off state. Now, I'm not terribly certain if this has any pressure reactions, but I know when it's on, I'm pretty sure photons can go through it. Yep, no problem. Oh, it's actually perfectly transparent too. And then when you turn it off, fairly certain, yes. Wait, no, they still went through, huh? Okay, no, but it does reflect them. So honestly, that's probably more useful. I don't know if it can hold up to negative pressure, however. Yeah, it can. I mean, that's probably better, but I put the near tungsten. Anyways, I just, considering all the materials, breakable metal melts at about 1,000 degrees, and I just personally think it's a very interesting material. It can also technically be used to duplicate temperature, but the use cases for this is very niche, I will admit, but who knows, maybe someone out there will find an interesting use for it. It reflects 50% of the time, melts at 100 degrees Celsius, is immune to negative pressure, breaks under positive pressure, is conductive although it becomes solid when it does, and overall is just something I'd never really considered using before. Now, I guess liquid crystal is probably the best for this, but if I'm not mistaken, what temperature does liquid crystal melt at? Oop. I think it's about the same, and it breaks. Just something to think about. Very simple test lineup. Trying to make a box, finding out it's transparent, and I've never really seen anyone talk about this. I hope you've all enjoyed, and this was terribly narrated. Take care.